This project has been 7 years in the making, and we began quite a while back when we actually purchased Lostock Full Farm, and this was the main barn, and some of you came along and had a look inside when it was in its old condition, and it's quite a transformation. And before that, this was a cotton mill. That's why we called it the mill. And this is the site of the cotton mill, and of course that was the mill owner's house across there, which is now the hospice. So we managed to persuade the North West Development Agency before it died to do a scoping study for us, and we spoke to lots and lots of people, some of you actually, and to patients, families, volunteers, and all the kind of people that you would expect us to talk to decide how we were going to develop this area. And the well-being concept was the one that was born. We followed on from that and spoke to all sorts of people and began to think about what a version would be for St Catherine's. We had to think about what Maggie Centre's done, and some of you may be aware of some of those. We looked at what some of the hospices were doing. None were doing anything quite like this, but we wanted to come up with something that would help people to help themselves. What best epitomises this project and what it's about really are two people. I came across Doris a few years ago at a workshop on end-of-life care, and Doris was a lovely lady, and she was there in these workshops because she was describing her experience when she'd looked after her husband when he was dying. And talking to Doris over a coffee break, I said to her, "Doris, where did you get your support from when you were going through that situation?" She said, "Oh, that's easy. I got it from the local cafe." So I said, "Well, not from the doctors or the nurses." She said, No, from the local cafe. I would walk out from your house and I could see the cafe down there. They would see me walking down the road, and when I stepped through the door, my latte was there waiting for me on the table, and they would make a judgment as to whether I wanted the comfort of my latte or a conversation as well. That made me think a little bit about what this is about. And then there was Fayaz. Fayaz came to see me, and he'd written a very nice letter about the way we care for his mum, and he came along and he brought a nice box of chocolates to make all the nurses fatter, and that was very kind of him. And I had a little bit of a conversation about his situation. He told me it'd been very difficult for his mum to come here to the hospice because a lot of his relatives have said that, no, look, you should be looking after your mum in your own home. But he believed St Catherine's was the right place for his mum. After his mum had died, a few days later, his sister, who had been to visit mum but hadn't been here at the time that she died, sister lived in Leicester. And the following weekend she drove all the way up here, parked down there in that car park, wandered about a little bit and drove all the way back to Leicester. She wanted to be where her mother had been, and suddenly this place had got some significance for her. We want people to be able to help themselves. We want them to be able to themselves to come back here, to reflect about what has happened to them, to talk to someone else who's been in a similar situation, to have a helping hand from a volunteer who maybe give them some information through an iPad, that they can get that bit of information that makes all the difference. It's the future for the hospice, it's the future for the NHS. We have to take on personal responsibility for our health and well-being, and we have to empower people to be able to do that. In my job, I get involved with fighting with the contractors and everything else to make something like this happen. And it's not been a fight for this particular project, it's been fantastic. They, amongst many other people, have done more than we have asked them to do. They have done better than their best. The quality of the design, I've known Alistair from Cassidy and Ashton for a long time. He supports the wrong football team, but never mind. Apart from that, he's got good judgment. And he's made sure that we've got plenty of light in the place, which is what we're looking for. And that blend of the solid wood, old kind of feel, and the feeling of the barn with a kind of modern interior. And Eric Wright Construction has been fantastic because we've changed our minds on lots of different things, and they've been trying to rip the hair out. And I was very upset when Mark's football team won the Premier League last season, so there was that difficulty as well. But we've come up with a great product. Why? Because people are prepared to do more than just a job. And that's what St Catherine's is about. It's about more than just a job. And there are lots of people in this room who've contributed to that. And I feel very humbled to be the chief executive of this very special organisation. I was in here a couple of days ago, and we were fiddling about with some aspect of it, and I was wandering back to the hospice, and just before I crossed the footbridge down there, a large chap was walking across the footbridge, so I waited for him. He was looking a little bit upset, and I just looked at him and said, "Are you all right?" And he flung his arms around me. And he held me for a few moments, and then let go, and he said, "Thanks, mate," and told me that his partner, aged 42, had just died, and he was waiting for his son to arrive, and you know, he was going to have to tell his son. It reminded me of what we're all about, that tangible connection. And you are tangibly connected to St Catherine's because you're here today, and a lot of you have done something to make this happen. It's absolutely wonderful to be stood here after 7 years, seeing what's around us, you know, and being part of this great big wonderful organisation. But I'm absolutely delighted that Ranby is here, and you're going to make us all a cup of coffee, isn't that right?
Yes, I'm very good at drinking coffee, as you know. My early morning, I'm making coffees later.
So
yeah.
That's the next bit.
That's the next bit.
The cup of coffee, and Nicola's going to help you.
Yes. Although I've actually been busy.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah, I've just made one.
I think what we're going to do today is Sarah was going to get sort of the main people around the council to bring a few more around here as well. We're going to have somebody from
the chairman, don't you?
Oh, go on then. Well, I mean, if you want to... yeah, I think Sarah's just rounding up people now, yeah. Can we bring you so that you're on this curve just round the so you're on there? Oh, no, we're going to get this little Ranby sort of been serving you all the time. All right.
Right, okay, so what am I meant to be doing now? No, you're not, you know? Sorry, I'm ruining it all. I'm afraid I've ruined it all.
Yeah, a bit of sprinkles on.
Yeah.
And just hold that up.
Fantastic. There's got such a buzz about the place, and before I came here I went to see one of my old neighbours, and she works at St Catherine's Hospice, and she's coming down on Friday, and I was talking to support Margaret, and there seems to be a real buzz about the mill. You know, there does seem to be a genuine buzz around Preston about the mill, and I just think it's so important that people start coming to this amazing big site that does amazing work at the end of the drive, but it's also now can be a place for families. It can be, you know, you don't have to have somebody at the hospice in order to come and enjoy the grounds. And I think, especially with the history here, you know, this is an old cotton mill, and so that is a real big part of our landscape in Preston. And it's so impressive that the hospice has managed to retain some of the history of Preston and give it a new lease of life, and for it to be a place that people can come and relax, they can chill out, they can have something nice to eat. You know, it's a genuine community hub, and I think that, you know, as far as the hospice is concerned, it really propels it into the future. And I just hope that people really do start to use this place, not just because it's part of the charity, you know, but because it's a great space. It's a cool place. It's very airy. It's light. You know, there's lots of greenery around, and there aren't that many places around Preston which feel feel like this. So actually it's unique actually in Preston. And also at the same time, you know, when you have a cup of coffee, you're doing it for a good cause. And you never know when you might need this place. You know, all of us might at some point need to be somewhere like this, and so it's so important for Preston to support it.
Have you got any plans or you?
So I'm going to the North West Football Awards tonight.
Oh, okay.
So I'm here to do this during the day, and Mark Lawrenson is here somewhere. So I don't know whether he's
snuck in at the back,
yeah, he is. So he and I are old mates from our days here, and so yes, I'm up at the Football Awards tonight, and then back home tomorrow.
What time do you have to get up this morning to get in?
Not that early actually. I'm used to getting up at 2:30 in the morning for work. So today was very civilised. It was about 6 o'clock. So that to me is that's a lion. Absolutely, that is a lion.
Well, you did very well pouring a coffee.
Oh well, thank you very much. Yeah, I did it all myself.
Thank you very much for that.